Everything is energy. It follows Einstein's theory of relativity, that mass and energy are essentially different manifestations of the same thing. In Trinidad and Tobago, that theory is proven every single day in the way we move, the way we produce, the way we interact, and the way we work and play. The Twin Island Republic's energy services industry is still, after more than a century, one of the most dynamic and internationally competitive sectors of the national economy.
I think the thing to understand about Trinidad and Tobago is that we have a big world-class energy sector, and it's also quite diverse. So what that means is that you've got some wells onshore Trinidad, which are old, mature, been around for 60 years, producing 1 or 2 barrels of oil a day. And then on the other end of it, you've got these huge, some of the biggest gas wells in the world. We have a petrochemical sector. We have some of the biggest petrochemical plants in the world. So our service companies provide services to all of that industry, so that they're very diverse. They have an understanding of everything across that industry, and that really sets them apart. There's not many places in the world where you have that diversity in such a small, concentrated geographical area.
What makes us unique is that we also have a very wide technician base, which allows us to straddle the gambit of services through the energy sector. In Trinidad and Tobago, we have 4 major sectors of the upstream oil and gas. We have the exploration and seismic, we have drilling services, we have production and transportation services. The energy services sector straddles along all 4 areas in these sectors. In those 4 areas, we have services such as construction, we have catering, we have environmental services, we even have marine services, both on the surface and under the surface.
With such a consistent track record, the country's energy sector continues to offer high export growth potential. It currently accounts for 69% of total exports and contributed $2.5 billion in foreign direct investment during the last financial year. This is good news for Trinidad and Tobago's GDP, especially since most of its energy services companies are locally owned, yet global in their reach.
We have about 40 to 50 companies in Trinidad who've worked internationally. Most of those have worked just within the region, within the Caribbean, and so you have a lot of companies who have done projects in Suriname, in places like Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Belize, and places like Colombia, within the Caribbean basin. Further afield, we have a few companies who've worked further afield in Latin America. Tucker Energy Services, for example, are also in Brazil, and they're also in North America, in Canada and in the United States. And then we've had some companies who have also expanded out into Africa, Kenson being one of them, in Uganda, Ghana and Nigeria. You have Paramount, who do heavy lifting for the energy sector, who got a presence in Ghana. And then there are consulting services out of Trinidad. Anywhere you want to choose, you'll find Trinidadian consultants having gone to work on specific projects.
Export T&T also has a critical role to play in supporting the energy services industry. After all, Trinidad and Tobago is a pivotal petrochemical hub. It is the major supplier of fuel for the Caribbean region and a leading international gas and LNG producer and the world's premier exporter of ammonia and methanol.
As Export T&T, it is our mandate to grow exports, diversify the economy, and to increase the number of exporters. Following that mandate, energy services is very important because it has been identified as a growth sector by the Ministry of Planning and the Economy. So we are charged as part of our mandate to increase not only the traditional manufacturing exports, but also services exports, and energy services is seen as a major component of that mandate. We've been involved in the energy sector for over 100 years. So the energy services competence has been developed over that period of time. So currently, we do export to all over the world, to the Middle East, to USA, to Africa, particularly Ghana and West Africa, nearer home to Suriname and Guyana, to name a few. We are also in Brazil as energy services companies. So the potential is great to even increase beyond where we are right now, and it is our position as Export T&T to support that growth and potential in every way that we can.
It all boils down to harnessing the energy you have for a greater purpose. And Trinidad and Tobago has energy to spare. The country is a wonderful anomaly, a glorious juxtaposition of tranquility and adventure, fast-paced celebration and quiet reflection. If Einstein was right and everything is energy, then the vibrancy of Trinidad and Tobago's people is the secret of our success. We bring enthusiasm to everything we do, and the energy services sector, as the backbone of the country's economy, it's no different. The country has over 100 years of oil and natural gas expertise to offer the world, and with it, an unstoppable attitude of positive energy.